As the title suggests, I have been feeling nostalgic lately, and the subject of experiencing your childhood through old games or experiences has always been fascinating for me, yet unable to relate in most instances. The only game that I've ever played consistently since childhood and still remember fondly is of course RE4. It's the source of my entire creative outlet on YouTube. This game is a massive part of my life, and it will become evident today as we explore my save files dating from the present all the way to the mid-2000s on the PlayStation 2 with everything in between. Starting with my newest platform, the PC version of RE4 is one that I picked up very recently, purely for the sake of making better quality videos. Prior to 3 months ago, I used the PS5 version for both casual gameplay and footage. I never had free cam for more appealing background shots or anything like that. Everything was done organically. There's nothing special to see here. Because a controller is my preferred way to play games, I don't use the PC version casually. Regardless, it's cool to see my first save file from September where I didn't even know how to use a keyboard. This file in 1-2 was there just as practice. So it's weird to say, but this save file will probably become sentimental in a few years, on the same level as my oldest on record maybe. Going through the mercenaries quickly, I remember making that video on Krauser's egg animation, so I unlocked him and then stopped playing entirely by the looks of it. Obviously, this isn't nearly old enough to warrant much discussion, so I think we need to head back in time a few years. Although the PS5 version isn't exactly a port, it may as well be, as the upgrades in load times and fidelity makes this the definitive way to play RE4 over the base PS4 version or even the PC port. For this reason, my experience with RE4 on the PS5 dates back years, and my total playtime exceeds any others on the list besides the PS3 version. I know this video just started, but I'm actually very excited already. Going through the typewriter, a lot of these files were also used for video footage back in the early days of my channel. We are going to skip these and go all the way back to my very first casual playthrough, which predates my channel's existence, in a time where I just played the game for fun. Let's see what build my teenage self decided to go with. What on earth is this? We have a Mind Thrower scope on its own, the TMP stock attached to the Red 9, a broken butterfly and a Killer 7. Clearly I must have been taking the piss somehow. It may come as a surprise, but I don't remember this at all. It must have been some sort of challenge one. I remember this one also. So I saw someone make a video where they beat the game with the Red 9 maxed out, and as far as challenge ones go, I didn't think this was impressive at all. 6.5 damage is essentially half a magnum round. So what was originally going to be my first RE4 video, I made the regretful decision to try and beat it with the base Punisher. This 0.9 damage weakling felt like a nerf gun on poor difficulty. The King's Gael room and the double Garradors was the most tedious thing I've ever done in my life, but I made it all the way to Salazar. Needless to say, this save file marked the death of that one. As happy as I was for making it that far, I wanted to get to U3 or Krauser before turning it into a video, but Salazar was just too difficult. After around 3 hours of failed attempts, I bought the striker for the Ditman glitch. This allowed me to make more shots in a shorter amount of time, without ever making the game easier or increasing my damage, but it still wasn't enough. At the end, I rage quit the challenge, and this save file is always here as a painful memory. I think you'd need around 500 handgun shots to make it work. The rest of these are a collection of more recent casual playthroughs. Save file 4 has my go-to build for beating the game as easily as possible: Blacktail, Striker, TMP and the semi-auto rifle. These are the guns that I use pretty much every time. That's how I can tell that these are new. When I was younger, I was always team headshot handgun, and before that I was a Red 9 fan. My variety in general was a lot different back then. I think we need to travel back even further to find that nostalgia factor that I'm looking for. Let's just say hello to the Oven Man first. Man, I love the PS4 home screen. Although I don't play much on the PS4 anymore, I use it for YouTube and I will occasionally still hop on RE4 just to find ideas or whatever. As the console is in my room, I find it more relaxing. Once again, I have very fond memories of this, dating back 7+ years on this version. I think these are the oldest save files on record that I can still remember. Everything before this would be a surprise to me. Once again, I'm going to start at the very beginning. Back here again. What is it about this area that makes me quit the game? It must be the regenerators. I was still young enough to quit the game like a baby back then apparently. Let's see what build I went with this time around. I hope there's not another Mind Thrower scope. There wasn't as much change as I thought actually. 7 years ago I still knew about the Dipman glitch, how good the TMP and semi-auto were. The only thing that has changed is the handgun. These days I wouldn't be seen dead with the Red 9. Back then I thought power meant best, and as efficient as the Red 9 is, it takes up way too much space on its own, let alone with the stock included that still isn't on the same level as the Blacktail in terms of stability, and its reload speed and fire rate are incredibly slow. I'd rather use the Punisher these days in all honesty. Save file 9 looks quite mysterious for some reason. Oh, hello Ashley. Why are you staring at me like that? It's creepy. Let's see the guns. It looks like this was an uncompleted no merchant playthrough. As expected, I gave up right before the game got difficult. Since I'm here, let's test my accuracy on Ashley.
Wait!
Oh, I missed. I'll get another one. Oh, okay, so I don't have another egg, I'll just have to settle for a grenade. It's probably her fault I failed the no merchant one anyway. Here you go, Ashley. Next one. I'll try an early gameplay through this time. I've long said that the village is my favourite section of the game, and pretty much all of my love for RE4 comes from areas such as the lake. The aesthetic and vibe are another level throughout, and I think most people can agree on that. Oh, okay, Mendez's house. I can even get the secret cutscene since I'm here. Going through the inventory in this file is the closest I've been to emotional during the production of this video. Although it seems like nothing, the intro chapters in RE4 are like medicine for me, and seeing this one so early in the game from 7 or 8 years ago is very sentimental. It just hits different, and I don't know why. I would have played this for an hour or so before turning it off and forgetting about it forever. Now these 4 fish will stay in my memory for years to come, hopefully. I'll quickly try one more before going back to the unplayable era of RE4, a time where 480p and 30 FPS were the norm. So this is my New Game Plus playthrough. This isn't as old as some of the others. I believe I did this about 4 years ago. Basically, I wanted to see if Ada's rocket launcher was worth more than the normal RPG if I sold it to the merchant. You'll be glad to find out that it's actually worth twice as much, a fact that I didn't know about prior to this playthrough. Upon hours of trying, I regret to inform you that I couldn't find my old PS3 save data for RE4. This was heartbreaking to discover as I was looking forward to this one the most. Being the dumb kid that I was, I must have deleted it for storage or something. It took me long enough just to get my capture card working, just to find out that there wasn't anything on there. So I packed it away again and moved on to the PS2. This video was getting long anyway. I think it's time we got to the bottom of this rabbit hole. So after another massive effort, I was finally able to connect everything to my PS2, as well as find my old memory card with RE4 still on it, thank god. The thing that I remember the most was the screen here. Obviously this is obsolete now. Even back then I never played the game in 50Hz. Nevertheless, it's a great element that adds to the PS2 version's charm. This looks atrocious. When we made this much of a jump, I never expected the gap to be this big. Again, at the time this was very normal. I'd even say it looked amazing. There's only 4 files. I did expect more, but these are still my oldest playthroughs on record. I think it's best if we started from the newest one, say file 4, 2-3, chapter end. This should be at the start of the castle. Gotta love that PS2 load time. It doesn't look too bad actually. The controls are a lot different on the original versions, so it's hard to move, but I could probably still play this and enjoy it. On this version, the PRL was notoriously shit. It took forever to load, it only travelled in a straight line, and it didn't destroy boxes or environmental hazards. In later editions, we know this weapon as the most overpowered thing in the game by far, but it wasn't always like this. Why have I kept a large bass? Was I trying to bring it to the ocean or something? Needless to say, I can't remember a single thing about any of this. Alright, enough of that, we're going to my save file 1.
Forget your makeup or something?
And here it is, my loadout from 18 years ago in all of its glory. The first thing that caught my eye was the bolt-action rifle. Again, a weapon that I've literally never used in memory, but I must have loved that damage as a child. The riot gun, blacktail and the TMP are here as well. I wish that I had more playthroughs that weren't completions. That would have been incredible. It's unfortunate that I'll never know how the save file got here, how I played, where I stopped playing, but the inventory does more than enough to make up for it. You know what we have to do now that we are here. We have to save that dog. From when this save file started, up until now, it has outlived every living dog in the world, besides a few. I went on to complete the village fight just for footage. It does play quite well, and the inventory load times are ironically better than the PS4 version. As I made my way to Lewis, I noticed that the spinels look as good as ever. I'm shocked, actually. And after 1-1 concludes, I will create a new save file in the hopes that I will return to it someday in the far future. I said a quick hello to the merchant before going over to the mercenaries. I wasn't good enough at the game back then, so I never could unlock the hand cannon. My scores reflect that. I didn't even unlock Hunk, for goodness sake. I got a 3-star instead of the 4 stars that you need. I had a small look at my last save file, hating myself for ever using the Red 9 and the bolt-action rifle before turning off my PlayStation 2. Although I wanted more and I was still upset about the PS3, I did love experiencing this version again. I'm going to put this here at the end as a bonus. During the early days, I used the Wii version for most of my playthroughs before getting it on PS3. That Wii is long gone now, but I was able to find one lone save file on my newer Wii. Evidently, I must have played this relatively recently for a laugh and decided to save it. It looks like I may have even planted this here for content, but I promise you I didn't. I never expected to find this. The Wii has unique demos if you go back from the home screen. They're incredible, and I can't believe I didn't know these existed. There's nothing really interesting here anyway, just a normal early game build, and unlike my oldest PS4 files, I know this one is very new. Still, somehow I forgot about this also, which is strange. At least we are in my favourite area now, the lake. Right now there's no other place I'd rather be than in the merchant's house, staring at his assortment of weapons on the incredible Wii version of RE4. While I record it from my phone because I didn't want to go through the effort of setting up my capture card again.